No, I was glad when they said, come let us go up to the house of the Most High. I feature started by gates of Jerusalem. Jerusalem is built as a compact city when the tribe went up to have a testament to Jah. African liberation. African liberation. African liberation. Rastaman vibration. African liberation. African liberation. African liberation. Congo man vibration. Don't let the wicked man decide for you. Remember, it's only to provide for you. Most High open the children's eyes for you. You let the stream flow and the sun rise for you. A nation with a cause and a nation with a aim. Been through so many wars and so many pain. A nation with love, that is how you maintain. You're trying to keep you in the mud, but here we go again. African liberation. African liberation. African liberation. Rastaman vibration. Black man liberation. Black woman liberation. African liberation. Rastaman vibration. The people get together with the sounds of the drum. Oh yeah, we're talking now, you're biggie, so you all gotta come. Oh yeah, spiritual, physical, Africa is fun. The land of the blacks, land of the freedom. Our leaders fight to see us well. Our kings and queens, our heavenly friend. Our sons and daughters, bravest men. Free us from dungeon here. African liberation. African liberation. African liberation. Rastaman vibration. African liberation. African liberation. African liberation. Rastaman vibration. Africa sailing like birds. Unity is strength, take it to the world. For the 21st century, move forward. Let us protect all the boys and girls. Rule of their own destiny. Children are the light. Black is beautiful, melanin sight. Blacks are educated, show them all your might. We pray that everything go right. African liberation. African liberation. African liberation. Rastaman vibration. African liberation. African liberation. African liberation. Rastaman vibration.
Uncle Jobson up to up on Black Power, family. What up? It's your brother Nguvo, now you see R&M. Once again, you tune in to R&M RBG TV. We keep it G. Raw and cut common sense for the common people. Dealing with some common issues, but you already know that we trying to seek some common solutions. Only but one way to do it, family. Only but one way to do it, family. What's that? It's with black love. Because black love is the cure for the black nation. So let's get it. Once again, like I said, you still tuned in to RNMRBG TV. Hopefully you had an opportunity to check out the build before this one that you're doing right now. If you haven't, go back in time. You know, one of the previous episodes, part 2. It was entitled Tim Wise Removes the White Myth, part 1 and part 2. Check that out. The reason why I'm saying that, because I'm going to basically do I guess you could say a follow-up or a more in-depth clarification for us, nonetheless. Because that one was a general, this one is a direct. You understand? And I'm going to back it up with some literature. You already know. I'm going to show y'all up front what it is. Powerful weapon. If you don't have this one right here, you're missing the whole thing, family. So we're going to talk about this a little bit. I'm going to read a couple excerpts out of here, and we're going to chop it up. But before we do that, there are 2 clips I do want you to watch. I want you to get nice and comfortable for this one. This is coming from, one clip is coming from the author of this book right here, Dr. Emerson Wilson. And the second clip is coming from powerful ancestor. Both of them are in the realm of the Agun, of course, right now, in the ancestral realm. But this brother right here, this is where you get black power from as far as the language, the lingo. You understand? I'm talking about none other than Kwame Ture, formerly known as Stokely Carmichael. You understand? Check out both of those clips. Listen to what the elders have to say. Listen to what their ancestors have to say. Are we going to come back? Are we going to chop it up? Like we always do. Thinking ain't illegal, living black ain't wrong. But in the meantime, between time, keep it locked, keep it G. Watch the clips. We'll be right back. Black Power.
We have let another people's spirit take possession of our bodies and take possession of our minds. When we speak, it is not with our African voice. It is with the voice of that demonic presence that uses our lips to speak its own language. Yes. Yes, and we have to recognize this. We are possessed. And if we are to transform ourselves and to transform the nature of our relationship with those who are our masters, we must engage in an exorcism and clear the devils out of our minds. And at this time, then, it'll pay you to read a little bit about demonic possession. And we have to be demonically possessed. Because if we talk about black-on-black violence, self-defeating behavior, self-destructive behavior, then we could not be possessed by a beautiful and wonderful God. We must be possessed by a demon. It's interesting to look at the literature on possession. We have a couple of types of possession. One is called a somnambulistic possession. Somnambulistic. Soma, in this instance, having to do with sleep. You hear it in the word sominex. You know, ambulistic, to move around. Ambulatory, right? So we're talking about people who are what? Sleepwalking. They're not awake, but they're walking around. The body is moving, and it is walking in an organized fashion and walking systematically, but the person is still asleep. And in somnambulistic possession, then, the individual's original self has been repressed and displaced, and the spirit, and he identifies with the spirit that possesses him. And his I and the spirit's I are one and the same. And we have a lot of that here today. Where the spirit that has been implanted in us, we have taken to be us, and we've identified with it. That is why in defending ourselves, we end up defending the people who rule over us. In defending our ego, we end up maintaining the social structure that has destroyed our ego to begin with. And you see it in our youngsters, who will fight and kill in the name of respect, and fight because their egotistic orientation has been insulted. And therefore, in defending their ego, they do not kill the people who destroyed their ego. They kill each other and maintain the ones who destroyed them in the first place in power.
When we start the revolution, all they probably do is squeal, but chill. When we start the revolution, when we start the revolution, all they probably do is squeal, but chill.
Confused. Because the capitalist system has cut off our history, they think that we have no history. They really think that our history began in slavery. If you will look at all textbooks in this country, even on the college level, history textbooks, there's nothing said about Africa in these textbooks at all. I mean, Africa is just left out, like it doesn't exist at all, just like our history. Thus, most Africans who do not take time as a conscious people to come to understand their history, in fact, begin their history when the white man came and discovered us as slaves. Certainly, the indigenous people of this country think that their history began with Columbus. They would be in serious trouble. They who properly know their history know that the indigenous people of this country raised civilizations, the heights of which European powers have not yet arrived at. Consequently, these people have this to hold on to, and they know as long as they hold on to it and fight, they will come back to the grandeur that was once theirs. No people can begin their history in slavery. No people. God has never created anybody in slavery. All people are first created free, then they are enslaved. So thus any African beginning their history in the United States of America is a stupid African beginning their history in slavery. And if you begin your history in slavery, the best you can hope to be is a good slave. Indeed, if you begin your origins in slavery, where's the inspiration to fight? A people who were enslaved must know at one time they were free. It is only when they know at one time they were free that they will be motivated by the responsibility which history imposes upon them to struggle to be free again. Any African wanting to know about their history and using their history as a weapon to fight must begin their history in Africa. There's no other place. It was only in Africa that we were free. Thus it is in Africa that we must begin our history. Once we see in Africa how we were free, then we will come to see who imposed slavery upon us. We will come to know directly who is the enemy, what must be done to return to a stage of freedom again. Thus, in the struggle for liberation, Africa is indispensable to us as our historical weapon.